Right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in late February of this year, the nation was treated to emotional scenes at the airport as two Kenyan pilots were detained by rebels in South Sudan after their plane crashed. And we've even brought you images as they returned home. Let's replay for you that story once again. This was on the 21st of February, 2018. And then we'll be talking to one of those pilots, the captain, who's here with us in studio.
The return of the two Kenyan pilots yesterday after a month-long captivity in South Sudan perhaps best signifies the pain of being in the hands of rebels. This being the second intervention by the government of Kenya in 3 months' time to bring Kenyans held by South Sudanese authorities or rebels back home. The weight of negotiation seems to be weighing heavily on a ministry that has no choice but to be precautionary. As such, Kenyans in South Sudan or planning to travel there have been advised to avoid visiting parts of the greater Upper Nile region, in particular Biye, Rajur, Akobo, Jonglei and Northern Liech states. Other areas to avoid are sections of Maiwut, Eastern Nile, Boma states and Nyeri River state. In a statement from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Kenyans must avoid these areas as they have been rocked with armed conflicts and inter-ethnic violence over the past 6 months. The statement further urges Kenyans in other parts of South Sudan to exercise extreme caution as they undertake their daily activities. Such Kenyans must avoid unnecessary travel in the said regions as their security cannot be guaranteed. South Sudan has been in conflict since December 2013 after two camps of President Salva Kiir and former Vice President Riek Machar differed in Juba, leading to years of strife. Despite efforts to mediate the two camps, the situation got worse in 2016 after Machar left office leading a rebel group, bringing to a halt efforts to reconcile warring communities.
It's actually very interesting that we're having this discussion today because President Uhuru Kenyatta is headed to Addis Ababa later today for an IGAD meeting that many hope will bring about peace to South Sudan. But one man who knows what it really means for there to be peace in South Sudan because he saw the other end of it is one of my guests here in studio today. I want to introduce just right here next to me, Captain Frank Pius Njoroge, who unfortunately found himself in the hands of rebels in South Sudan earlier this year. And next to him is his brother, Patrick Kariuki Wamushai, who has also come to, in a sense, show support with his brother at this time. They have quite a story. So let me get straight into it. Let me start with you, Captain. Briefly tell me, how did you end up in South Sudan?
In South Sudan, I ended up there as an employee of the Flight Training Center. We were chartered to go there and start operations in South Sudan under somebody else's license. And that is how we ended up there. And we operated there for about 3 months.
For about 3 months. So when did you arrive in South? Was this your first time in South Sudan?
Oh, negative. I worked in Southern Sudan for about 3 years.
Okay.
So it was not my first time.
It was not your first time?
No.
So for this particular trip, when did you arrive? When you were landing and you crash landed, was this when you were getting into South Sudan or were you moving from one place?
No, I had been there in South Sudan a month before. Okay. And then I came back for 1 month off. And now I had just gone down there on the 23rd, I think, of December for about a month. Okay. And then come back, and then somebody else relieves me.
Okay.
So that was my second time with the same company, and so to say.
And what makes your story extraordinary is not just that you were detained, but you crash landed. Talk to us about that experience.
It's horrifying, and we did actually leave Juba for a town called Akobo.
Akobo, okay.
And we landed safely. And after that, we were about to take off and then come back to Juba. And just immediately after takeoff, we lost, the engine lost power. Mm. And we had no choice. Like, gravity has to take its course. We had to come down. And that's exactly what happened. It's only that, unfortunately, there were houses on the flight path of the aircraft, and that is where we ended up crashing into houses. And we lost one life, unfortunately, on the ground. A few cows were injured, but later on they said they died. But we managed to get everybody out of the aircraft, the burning aircraft, since the aircraft started burning on impact. But we managed to pull out all the passengers on board. And we also managed to pull out a few luggages which were looted by the villagers. And later on, we were taken down to the commissioner's office or house because the villagers were so annoyed. They wanted to lynch us.
They wanted to lynch you.
Yeah.
And then you end up in the hands of who? The Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition.
In opposition.
So you were handed over to them.
We were handed over to them.
For a month.
6 weeks.
For 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
What was that like?
Hell on earth. I wouldn't like any other person, any human being, to experience what we went through.
My goodness.
It was hell on earth, just to put it that simply.
Food, water, where you were still sleeping? Or?
We were initially given food for the first 3 days, and after that, since the ransom was not coming, we were denied food. And we were drinking a bucket of water a day. The temperatures were hot. We were under 43 degrees centigrade during the day. At night, the coolest was 38 degrees. And I don't know how to describe it. It was bad.
You're very strong for coming to share that with us, and we appreciate. Let me give you a chance to catch your breath as I bring in your brother, Patrick Kariuki wa Mushai. So you then get the news that they have crashed. How did you find out?
Actually, we got the news from his elder son.
From?
His eldest son.
His eldest son.
He told me, normally they call me uncle. Uncle has said daddy may crash. And so, where in Sudan? And from there on, it was like, how are they? How bad are they?
Yes.
They are not injured, but everybody on the board was safe. But then they cannot be allowed to come out. They are held by the rebels. And now, from the story you have heard about Sudan, that was not a cup of tea. And from that time, we began now wandering, praying, fasting, asking God to let them come back home, because I have not had any good news from that end, especially from the rebels. So we've been praying and trying to ask whatever, any possibility of them coming back.
So you started looking for what, Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
But I didn't go there. But the wife of Shamala, his co-pilot,
yes,
and he saw they did. So we were getting information through phone. And also there was a certain video of him and Shamal that went viral.
Or somebody took a video in South Sudan and sent it over?
Actually a picture.
A picture.
That looked terrible. I don't know what it was the angle that it was taken from, but actually they looked bad. And we're asking God to let them come back home.
Let them come back home. Let me come to you even as you tell us now when you heard that they were coming back. And come back to you, Captain. How did you keep hope alive? 6 weeks, that's not a short time.
We kept on praying, number one, and we kept on giving each other hope, and I kept on telling Captain Shamala, you know, tomorrow, they're coming tomorrow.
Oh, they're coming tomorrow.
Yeah,
coming tomorrow.
They're coming tomorrow to
rescue you, to save you.
And once in a while, the ambassador, Leshore, Honorable Leshore would call us and tell us we are coming tomorrow, but tomorrow, 6 weeks.
It became 1 week after the other.
1 month, I started losing hope. I was the one now who was comforting Shamala, but after 1 month, I started losing hope. Now Shamala was comforting me. So it, you know, up until, you know, we kind of got not really getting used to, but just living in hope, you know.
And you just sit somewhere the whole day?
The whole day, yeah, the whole day.
Would they make you work or do something or just?
No. We were put in a veranda, sleep on the veranda.
Wait, on a veranda outside?
Outside, yeah.
So you stayed outside for 6 weeks?
Yes, for 6 weeks.
Cold at night, hot in the day?
It wasn't cold.
Wasn't cold. Hot
at night it was 38 degrees. In Nairobi, when it is 38, everybody is complaining. But that is at night. During the day, it's 43 degrees.
What were they basing their ransom demand on? What were they saying you've done? Was it because of the crash? Is that why they were asking for ransom, or is this how those rebels normally operate?
That's how they operate, and they said a person died and you destroyed some property, you must pay for it.
Wow. So
it's not a matter of like it was an accident. And no, they don't know about accidents.
Okay.
You must pay for those houses, you must pay for those cars, you must pay for, yeah. We don't care.
Before I come to you, Patrick, one day you get the message that you're going to be released. How was that message conveyed? Did you believe it was true?
No. No. Because every day we were being told we are going to be released tomorrow, 6 weeks down the line. So we stayed up until we get into an aircraft and we get airborne. That's when we are going to believe. And I was in constant communication with Lashore, the ambassador.
The rebels allowed you to talk directly to the ambassador?
He used to call the commissioners. There is only one sat phone from the commissioner, nobody else. So how he got the commissioner's number, I don't know.
You don't know?
But the commissioner would tell him, okay, I'm going to be with them at this time, and then he would come around, and the ambassador would call us. And he kept on promising stuff, but we wouldn't believe him.
You wouldn't believe it?
No.
So you get the message, you're put on a plane. Did you have to travel very far to get onto that plane, or was there an airstrip close to where you were?
There is an airstrip very close.
So a plane came for you?
Yes. A helicopter, a UN helicopter.
A UN helicopter?
Yeah.
Flew you to Nairobi? Or flew you to an airport where you could now?
Yeah. They flew us to an airport called Bor, and then from Bor to Juba.
Okay.
Juba, we couldn't make it back. I couldn't make it back because I was very, very sick. I had malaria, I had dehydrated, and I was very sick. So even the ICRC medics decided they will not allow me to come to Nairobi because I was not going to make it. So I was sent to a UN medical hospital in Juba, where I spent the night, and then the next day I was able to come down.
You were able to come down to Kenya?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I ask you another question, I have a clip here of Foreign Affairs PS Macharia Kamau on round about the same day that you were coming back, and he was being grilled in Parliament. He was a nominee then, and he was asked what does he think about the incidents we are hearing in Parliament, where Kenyans go there to do work, etc., and then they end up getting in trouble for reasons that sometimes cannot be understood. And this is what he had to say. This was on the 21st of February, 2018.
Okay.
Draw a line in the sand. It cannot be that our people will be taken advantage of willy-nilly, irrespective of what we contribute to the development and the peace and security of some of our friends. And that advisory, I believe, was the first advisory ever. And I was personally involved in it because I felt that a message has to be sent. That enough already, you know? It cannot be that the pilots, which is the case that we were facing last week in South Sudan, would fly help to people, and when they have an accident, that the pilots, it's an accident, imagine. Not only do you have to get over the trauma of the accident, but then they grab you and detain you in inhuman and savage conditions. This is unacceptable. No Kenyan should ever have to go through that.
The Foreign Affairs PS, then a nominee, giving reasons as to why a travel advisory was issued, warning Kenyans not to visit certain parts of South Sudan. Patrick, let me come to you. You hear your brother's coming, you hear he's coming back. You are at the airport, you see the plane coming. What sort of emotions, what were you feeling when you saw the doors being opened, him coming out alive, but frail?
Number one, I got a lot of relief that at last he's back home. Because those 6 weeks were torturous weeks. Every day you expect some positive news. But all the same we are trying, we are communicating, nothing positive is coming up. Until that last, actually they were supposed to come on Monday. And then something happened, they didn't come, they said, we're going to come the following day. So at least we are saying, at least it's only tomorrow we are waiting for. And when they landed, well, as we expect, we all shed tears, we hugged each other.
We're actually seeing some of those pictures on the screen right now.
Yeah, and we were so happy. We were so happy. Well, I didn't go exactly ahead because his family, I gave the first priority.
Okay.
But when we hugged, we felt like when we were kids.
But Captain, when you came back, something developed with one of your family members, specifically your wife. So you're coming back, there's this relief, but then she gets unwell. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was hospitalized initially because I really needed some medical checkup, and so I was hospitalized at Mata Hospital, and after about, I think, about a week or so, I was released. And then my wife got sick immediately after. And she went through an initial operation, which didn't go well. She had to undergo another 3 operations.
My goodness.
And she was in HDU, high dependence unit, for 4 months, 4 weeks, and ICU for 2 weeks. And it has kept me.
And she's still in hospital.
She's still
today.
in hospital today at Meridian Equator Hospital, and the bill is so high.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about 6.6 million, 6.7.
Is that what you have? Is that what you have there?
That's what I have here, 6.6.
Okay, so 6.63 million.
Yes, and I'm jobless.
The company did not take you back once you...
Negative. After that, I was on my own.
How have you been surviving?
Through God's help.
Okay.
It's been so difficult. Through friends, my brother here, he's on pension. He sends me some little money to eat.
Okay.
And a few friends here and there, they chip in. That's how I manage to eat.
That's how you eat.
And I'm jobless. It's so difficult, so difficult. I didn't believe this world could be that cruel.
Could be that cruel too.
Negative.
After
serving the Air Force for all these years, and I'm like that.
Just the way you are here today.
Yeah.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs, have they been in touch ever since? Checked up on you?
Never.
How are you doing,
The only
Captain?
thing they did was to pay for my medical at Mata.
Okay.
And then after that, that's it. But one thing, one person I would like to really thank is the president. If it were not for him, we were never going to get
You were never going to get out.
But he thought we were already out up until there was this UN cry. That's when he ordered, said, "What? I want these guys out."
Out. I don't. Yeah. So he thought the situation had been resolved.
Yes, he thought the situation had been resolved.
Okay.
Up until, our wives started making a lot of noise, and then and in 3 days we were out. So really, I would really like to thank him for that.
Would you fly again?
Who, me now?
Yes.
With my wife in hospital right now.
It's not even
it's not even advisable, because I would be dangerous.
Yeah.
I would not be able to concentrate.
Yes.
With my flying. But after she's out, and this is why I'm appealing for help.
Yeah.
To anybody out there who can help. Please. This is the time I need your help.
It's the time you need help. Okay, let me get a final comment from both of you. Patrick, let me start with you. In case there's anything that I sort of missed out as we try to bring out the story.
There's a lot, but we don't have much time. But I want to say that we thank God that he came back. That much we were hoping against, but he came back. And the worst part of it is that immediately he got out of hospital, the wife went in. And I would say God has been so gracious to that lady that she has managed to go through those 6 surgeries and all that. And finally, what I would say is, like, we would wish somebody would help us to pay this bill.
Okay.
It's 6.6 million. And we have the pay bill as 812499.
Okay.
Pay bill number is 812499, and account name is Beatrice.
Okay, if anyone can assist, that they do so. But
Yeah.
Captain, let me give you the last word here. And also a warning to Kenyans who, you know, in terms of going to travel abroad and do business there, you know, and I mean, you had no idea what was going to happen, but what sort of caution would you issue as Kenyans go and look for opportunities out there?
The opportunities are there, but I would just like to caution them. That place is not the way it was before. It has changed so much. So be very cautious, because we have lost so many Kenyans, and especially most of them being dropped into the River Nile, and they are never seen again.
And you've seen that yourself? Or?
Oh yeah. I'm talking from experience, especially the ladies. The ladies.
Wow.
We've lost so many. We have lost so many, and especially being dropped in the River Nile.
Okay.
And no gunshot, nothing, but River Nile, and that's it.
Okay.
So be a little cautious when you go there, and try and learn the people and how they operate.
Be careful.
Be careful.
Okay.
And finally, to the president, kindly, if you can, please help me.
Okay.
Kindly, I know you can. I know you can.
Okay.
Please.
Captain, I think your appeal has been heard loud and clear. That's Captain Frank Pius Njoroge. He was spent 6 weeks held by the Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition. And he's also come and shared with us that while he thought he was coming home to celebration, it's been tough with his wife being unwell. We pray for a quick recovery, and he's come together with his brother there, Patrick Mushai, who obviously did a lot of the work here, in a sense, trying to get information and to reach out to whoever they can to get him back home safely. These stories sometimes this year become quite common, so be careful.